Welcome to TALRadio of Touch a Life. Touch a Life is a foundation striving for better society, and through TALRadio aims to bring that change by spreading kindness through positive stories. You are listening to the first episode of a new weekly series we are launching called Hunger Mitao, which means wipe out hunger. This is a program where we share updates on food insecurity in supposedly the world's most richest and prosperous country, United States, and share how through Hunger Mitao, the Indian American community is unifying to emerge as a big part of the solution to fighting hunger across America. Friends, I give to you the Hunger Mitao weekly show.
Good afternoon, friends. We are your hosts, Raj and Aradhana Asava, bringing to you the weekly Hunger Mitao program. Friends, through Hunger Mitao, the Indian American community is unifying to emerge as a big part of the solution to fighting hunger in America.
Through this show, you will not only get updates on the hunger issue in the US, but also learn in the many ways in which each one of us, in the spirit of give where you live, is making a difference and can continue to make a difference. We hope to bring you information around the complex issue of food insecurity in our prosperous country. While the government works on fixing deeper underlying issues, we can do our part to ensure no one around us goes hungry.
And Raj, let's share a few resources with our listeners so they may get more details about this community-driven movement. Friends, hungermitao.org is your one place to go for all Hunger Mitao related information. It's hungermitao.org. Through this site, you can navigate to any of the 8 food banks where Hunger Mitao is operational and reach their local webpage to find volunteering opportunities, steering council member information, donation links, sponsorship programs, etc.
That's correct. That's just a single site you have to remember, which is www.hungermitao.org. Well, Aradhana, welcome back. Glad to have you back stateside. How was your trip to India?
It's great to be back, Raj. I was actually gone only 2 weeks.
Only 2 weeks?
But having had no international travel in the last 2.5 years, this trip was a bit of an adventure. So many travel formalities have changed.
That's right.
It was wonderful to be with my parents after this long gap of 2.5 years. It is seldom, Raj, that our India trip does not include side trips, additional travel, or other agendas.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had this dedicated 2 weeks with my parents, it was very satisfying for me and also for them. I was in Nashik, old name is Nasik, the whole time. Our afternoons were very hot.
Exactly. You're right in the middle of summer there.
It's not even the middle of summer yet, but they were very hot. It's 101 to 103 degrees.
Wow.
But in Nasik, the mornings and evenings were so pleasant and breezy. And the best thing about visiting India in the summer? Mangoes.
Well, I'm a unique bird, I guess. I know how much you love mangoes, and I somehow never took a liking to that. I do, however, love the raw mangoes, the kairis, right? So this was your first trip since the pandemic started. What was the impact of the pandemic on India? How are things at present? What did you see by being on ground there, Aradhana?
Actually, for all practical purposes, by now India is back. People are going about maskless, doing their regular work and chores, very similar to here. But it was interesting that some knowledge workers are still working from home. But I enjoyed going back to the Sabzi Mandi with my mom and just looking at the colorful produce and the buzz of vendors and customers was so comforting.
Yeah, the negotiating and chatting and
Of course.
asking about how fresh the vegetables are.
Yeah.
It must have been just an amazing experience. I kind of feel jealous about that, Aradhana. The vegetable market visit must have been a true sensory overload.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing unique this trip was an episode that struck out for me.
Ah,
And it made me pause and reminisce about my childhood and how many of us coming from India were raised. You know, the spirit of giving is truly inbuilt into all of us who have grown up in Indian or Eastern households.
right,
Right from our early age, we see giving.
right.
I got to see it unfold in front of my eyes yet again. So I reached Nasik on my dad's 86th birthday.
Okay.
Every birthday of theirs, they distribute blankets, etc. to their help. But in light of the recent back-breaking inflation, large bags of grocery staples were distributed this year to the staff that they see day in and day out.
Hunger Mitao.
Hunger Mitao in action.
Hmm.
So the bags had things like, 2 kgs of rice, a kilo of sugar, flour, poha, vegetable oil, tea leaves.
Wow.
I mean, everything that they would need on a day-to-day basis.
They could take it to their home and cook and
It would last them a month.
Oh, wow.
Right?
And who did they give this to?
Well, it included the panditji, the mali, the housemaids, all doormen, the cook, the driver, and everybody else who gives them a hand.
Oh, they were giving a hand to everyone who year-round gives them a hand.
Yeah,
Wow, that
absolutely.
is-
And Raj, the best part was that they had this gift distributed by their 7-year-old great-grandson.
Wow.
What a way to inculcate the value of philanthropy in this young mind.
That reminds me, growing up, I remember my grandfather, and I'm sure many of our listeners remember elders in their household engaging the young kids to carry out these acts of giving.
And I think the intention was always that through this, the young mind would
Yeah,
accept, acknowledge, and hopefully make it a behavior.
that's right. They will also get an early exposure that not everybody is dealt an even hand. There are those who are struggling, and it becomes the duty of those who have to ensure that some way they can get it to those who do not have.
Yeah. And so it struck me that the 4+ million Indians who have made US our home have all been raised or have observed this type of giving for the betterment of our fellow human beings.
Very nicely expressed, Aradhana. You are so right. We all have seen the importance of daan, the power of giving back, if you may. And of all the daan, right, the giving, we also know that annadan is the highest of all. As such, we can be more proud of the 4 million strong Indian diaspora in US for uniting through the Hunger Mitao movement and enabling over 40 million nutritious meals for food-challenged children, seniors, veterans, and families in need across the United States. Aradhana, we now have numbers from across the country of the recently concluded Hunger Mitao 2022 Spring Food Drive.
Yay!
2022 annual Spring Food Drive turned out to be yet another successful drive that yielded over, drum rolls, 500,000 nutritious meals through volunteering by community members, food drives, and funds raised across the United States by the Indian American community.
That's phenomenal.
We thank everyone for their spirit of give where you live, and thank you Feeding America and food banks for all that you do to ensure nutritious food is made available to the needy across all the zip codes in the US. Besides Feeding America, the food bank that participate this year are
Seattle Food Lifeline,
Food Bank for New York City,
Houston Food Bank,
our own North Texas Food Bank,
MetroCrest Services in Dallas,
Atlanta Community Food Bank,
Tarrant Area Food Bank,
Gleaners Community Food Bank of Southeast Michigan,
Food Bank of New Jersey,
San Francisco Marine Food Bank.
and Second Harvest of Silicon Valley.
Wow, this list keeps on growing.
Yep. And listeners, as many of you know, Hunger Mitao conducts 2 large food drives each year. One in March, celebrating the various spring festivals of India, and a second one in August, commemorating India's Independence Month. These drives serve as an opportunity to combine our resources and make an impact as a unified Indian American community. And what an amazing impact we have made this year already.
Friends, as you well know, Hunger Mitao literally means wipe out hunger. And that is our aspiration. We are a national, volunteer-driven movement that works with Feeding America and its nationwide network of over 200 plus food banks focused on ensuring nutritious food reaches food-challenged children, seniors, veterans, and family in need across every zip code in the United States. The ugly effects of the pandemic-related issues in the form of compromised health, underemployment, high inflation, broken supply chain, and now the war and resulting inflation are clearly visible in the increased demand for charitable food assistance. Too many families must make impossible choices between paying for food, rent, utilities, or medical bills. Your action today can help.
Raj, our friend Sujata Vadvani shared this heart-touching message, which I would like to read out here.
Please.
Here is a question. Are we really satisfied from the heart with the material resources in life? What are soul-satisfied people like?
That is a good question.
And she shares a short story. I was waiting at the bus stand to go to my hometown. The bus had not yet arrived at the bus stand. I was sitting there reading a book. Seeing me, a girl of about 10 years of age came to me and said, "Sir, please buy these pens. I will give you 4 pens for 10 rupees. I'm very hungry. I will get to eat something." There was a little boy with her too, perhaps her brother. I said, "Well, I don't need a pen." Her next question was very sweet. "Then how will we eat something?" I said, "I don't want a pen, but you will definitely eat something." I had 2 packets of biscuits in my bag. I took out both the packets and handed one to each of them. But I was beyond surprised when she returned 1 packet and said, "Sirji, 1 is enough. We will share it." I was utterly stunned to hear this. I said again, "It's okay. You keep both. It doesn't matter." That girl's reply shook me to my core, my soul. She said, "Well, then what will you eat?" In this world where people earning crores of billions keep humanity aside and rob people wildly in the name of success, a hungry girl taught me the ultimate lesson of humanity. I said to myself, this is what soul-satisfied people look like. Unfortunately, many of us take so much from somebody else out of greed that we also eat their share as well and leave them with nothing and struggling.
That's so touching. Listeners, our world is facing a myriad of challenges, ranging from global pandemic to a war that is slowly engulfing the entire globe. It has created a sense of hopelessness and anxiety all around us as we watch our beautiful world ravaged by the humanity-threatening disease and self-inflicted devastation through war. Unfortunately, somewhere in the process, we may be forgetting or getting desensitized to the local issues around a basic necessity of all living beings, food.
And hunger, while basic, has become an increasingly complex issue. We will continue to bring latest information and thinking in this space to our listeners. Let's all learn together. We will use this channel to communicate all the exciting opportunities that come up with Hunger Mitao. Events like volunteering, food drives, awareness sessions, ways to advocate with legislators, opportunities to engage our youth, etc., is all shared on this platform.
It is important for our listeners to understand that Hunger Mitao is not an organization, not another charity, not another 501c3. Hunger Mitao is 100% volunteer-driven movement, raising awareness across the Indian American community about the elevated hunger that lurks right around us in every zip code. And because of the excellent and efficient work done by the food bank, we, through Hunger Mitao, work to organize and connect the Indian American community with their local food banks.
We are constantly looking for people who want to engage in this community building effort. And people are joining us every month. So listeners, if you are interested to learn about the Steering Council, please drop us an email at usa@hungermitao.org.
And if I may add, Aradhana, if there is no Hunger Mitao where you live, for example, and you are interested in leading that effort, again, drop us an email at usa@hungermitao.org, and we will connect you to your local food bank, and as needed, we'll work with you to launch Hunger Mitao in your own location.
Our Steering Council is a group of people who are passionate about fighting hunger, who devote 4 to 5 hours a month to do some amazing work spreading the word.
That's right. So please consider joining. In addition to all that you do for charities back home, we request you to also give where you live. Please make a gift of food or funds to your food banks so you strengthen the community you live in. Please get involved. Everything you need to act on this is at www.hungermitao.org.
Friends, food banks are dependable sources, not pop-up charities. So people know that they have support whenever they need it. If each of us made a commitment of providing just 3 meals a day to one person through food banks, that translates to $1 a day. $1 a day. That's just $365 a year. It's an inexpensive way to make a difference in somebody's life.
As we close our program today, we thank you all for your generosity and for caring about others around you. To our compassionate Indian American community, thank you. Thank you for caring, for volunteering, for helping organize awareness events, for running food drives, for making donations, for becoming multi-year donors, for giving your time, for giving in kind. And thank you to our volunteers for becoming the mouthpiece for Hunger Mitao.
Our mission, friends, is Hunger Mitao. And Hunger Mitao is as much about eradicating hunger as it is about unifying the fragmented efforts of our community and focusing it on the humanitarian cause of hunger. Let us come together as the entire Indian American community and show how we engage in any place we call home. We are smart, compassionate change agents who give where we live, so our communities benefit from our presence.
So until next week, friends, remember, we may never be able to eradicate hunger, but let us ensure no one goes hungry.
Hunger Mitao.
Hunger Mitao.
Friends, you have just listened to Hunger Mitao from TALRadio. We will be back next week with another thought-provoking episode. Meanwhile, do visit touchalife.org and hungermitao.org to know our activities and be a part of them.